The fire crackled softly in the middle of the forest clearing, its orange flames dancing in the cold night air while sparks floated upward into the dark sky like tiny fireflies. 5 friends, Arjun, Kabir, Riya, Mira, and Samir, sat around the campfire deep inside the dense pinewood forest, a place locals often warned people to avoid after sunset. The group had come for an adventurous camping trip, laughing and teasing each other while roasting marshmallows and telling jokes. The night was calm, the wind whispering through the tall pine trees, and the moon occasionally peeking through thick clouds. "This place feels creepy," Mira said quietly, glancing toward the dark woods surrounding them. Kabir laughed and tossed another stick into the fire. "Relax. It's just a forest. What could possibly happen?" Samir smirked and leaned closer to the fire. "Actually, the villager we met earlier told me something strange about this forest." Riya's eyes widened. "What story?" Samir smiled mysteriously. "They say many years ago a group of campers came here just like us. They lit a campfire and started telling ghost stories. But one by one they disappeared during the night. The next morning their tents were still here, the fire had burned out, but no one was ever found." Mira shivered. "Okay, that's not funny." Arjun chuckled nervously. "It's probably just an old myth." Suddenly, a distant sound echoed from the forest. A faint crack like a branch snapping. Everyone fell silent. The sound came again, this time closer. Riya whispered, "Did you hear that?" Kabir stood up and looked toward the trees. "Probably an animal." But the darkness between the trees felt too thick, too quiet, as if something was watching them. Samir tried to laugh it off. "See? The forest wants to join our campfire story." They all forced nervous smiles and sat down again. The fire burned brighter, but the shadows around them seemed to stretch longer. Arjun decided to continue the ghost story tradition. "All right, since we're camping, let's tell scary stories." Mira groaned. "Bad idea." But the group agreed anyway. Arjun began telling a tale about a wandering spirit that followed travelers through forests. As he spoke, the wind suddenly grew colder. The fire flickered violently. Samir rubbed his arms. "Why did it suddenly get so cold?" Before anyone could answer, another sound echoed, footsteps crunching slowly through dry leaves somewhere in the darkness. Kabir grabbed a flashlight and shone it toward the trees. The beam cut through the darkness but revealed nothing except rows of silent pine trunks. "Hello?" he called out. No reply came, only the whisper of wind and the soft crackle of the fire. Uneasy, Kabir sat back down. Probably nothing. But Mira couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was standing just beyond the edge of the light. The night grew deeper. Clouds covered the moon, and the forest became darker than before. Samir suddenly frowned. "Wait, where's Riya?" Everyone looked around. Her seat near the fire was empty. "She was right here," Mira said nervously. Arjun stood up. "Riya? Stop messing around." No answer. Kabir shone the flashlight again, sweeping the beam through the trees. Suddenly the light caught something, a glimpse of white fabric moving behind a tree. "There!" Kabir shouted. The group rushed toward it, but when they reached the spot, nothing was there. Only cold air and silence. Mira's voice trembled. "This isn't funny anymore." Just then, a soft whisper drifted through the forest. It sounded like someone calling, "Help!" Samir's face went pale. "Did you hear that?" The voice came again, faint and distant. It sounded exactly like Riya. Arjun followed the sound deeper into the woods while the others hesitated behind him. The trees seemed to close around them as they walked. The campfire light disappeared behind them, swallowed by darkness. Suddenly Kabir stopped walking. "Guys, I think we should go back." But when they turned around, the path behind them looked completely different. The forest had become a maze of identical trees. Mira started to panic. "We're lost." The whisper came again, closer this time. "Help, please." They followed it until Kabir's flashlight illuminated something hanging from a tree branch. Everyone froze. It was Ria's scarf swaying gently in the wind. Mira gasped. "Oh my God!" Arjun grabbed the scarf and looked around desperately. "Ria, where are you?" Suddenly a loud crack echoed behind them. They spun around. Samir was gone. One moment he had been standing beside them. The next he had vanished. Kabir shouted his name while shining the flashlight wildly through the trees, but there was no sign of him. The forest had become eerily silent again. Mira started crying. "Something is taking us." Arjun's heart pounded as he tried to think. "We need to get back to the campfire." They ran through the forest until finally the faint glow of orange light appeared between the trees. The campfire was still burning where they had left it. But as they approached, Kabir suddenly slowed down. "Wait, look." Sitting around the campfire were 3 shadowy figures. They looked exactly like the missing friends, Ria and Samir among them, but they weren't moving. Their heads hung forward unnaturally. Mira whispered, "That's impossible." Arjun stepped closer. The firelight revealed their faces, pale, lifeless, eyes completely black. Suddenly their heads lifted at the same time, and they stared directly at the remaining friends. A chilling smile spread across their faces. The figures slowly stood up and began walking toward them. Kabir dropped the flashlight in terror. "Run!" They sprinted back into the forest, branches scratching their faces as they ran blindly through the darkness. Behind them they could hear footsteps following, slow but relentless. The whispers returned, echoing through the trees. "Join us!" Arjun's lungs burned as he ran, but the forest seemed endless. No matter how far they went, they could still see flickering orange light behind them, as if the campfire was somehow following them. Mira stumbled and fell. When Arjun turned to help her up, Kabir suddenly screamed. The shadowy figures had appeared between the trees around them, silently surrounding them. The campfire's glow flickered in their black eyes. One of the figures stepped forward. It was Ria, but her smile was twisted and unnatural. "The fire needs more stories," she whispered in a hollow voice. The flames suddenly roared higher behind them. Arjun realized something horrifying. The campfire wasn't just a fire. It was alive, feeding on them, pulling them into the forest one by one. Kabir tried to run again, but the shadows grabbed him and dragged him toward the firelight. His scream echoed through the forest before suddenly cutting off. Mira clung to Arjun, shaking with terror. The flames behind them rose like a towering wall of orange and red, illuminating dozens of ghostly figures standing silently around the fire, former campers who had never escaped. Their hollow voices spoke together in a chilling chorus. "Every fire needs listeners. Every story needs souls." The last thing Arjun saw was the campfire expanding into a blazing inferno as ghostly hands reached out from the flames, pulling them into the endless circle of the cursed campfire where the story would continue forever, waiting for the next group of travelers brave enough to light a fire in the middle of the forest.